Hey there, people of YouTube. If you've ever played Final Fantasy VIII, you'll probably recognize the building in front of me. If not, then you must just like Minecraft or something. This is the Balamb Garden, an awesome building, as I said, from Final Fantasy VIII. Lots of people have built the garden before, so maybe this is nothing new, but I built it myself. I used a combination of MCEdit and in-game manual labor to build this. Apart from a few hard-to-replicate colors and patterns on walls, I think I've added almost all details possible in Minecraft. This contains not only the first floor, but the second floor, third floor, B1 level, and MD level. It is as tall as it can possibly be, the top of the floating ring touching the block limit, and the bottom of the MD level resting on the void. One thing you should note, though, is that although I did try to recreate everything here as close as possible to how it is seen in-game, not all of the garden is shown in-game. Any hallways from room to room that are never explored, or places that are not directly shown in Final Fantasy VIII, are created by me based on how I imagined things would connect. Also, keep in mind that this is a really big building, and Minecraft doesn't really like really big buildings. There are some weird-looking lighting problems inside that I will bring up later, but to avoid them and keep it looking nice for all of you, I'm using the command light from single-player commands to make all lighting even. Funny-looking interior lighting problems aside, all paths and rooms are lit up as close to how they are in-game as I could manage in Minecraft, which was more annoying than you might expect. Either way, you aren't here to listen to me talk, you're here to see it. So, let us begin. This is the front gate, the only entrance to the garden before it becomes mobile. I've got a tunnel here that leads all the way to the parking lot, and I've got a road that reaches all the way to the end of the giant platform the garden is built on. Off in the distance, and up ahead here in a second, you'll see everyone's favorite feathered friend, the Chocobo. Why are they in Minecraft, you may ask? Because of the ChocoCraft mod. Unfortunately, I don't remember the name of the guy who originally made it, or the name of the dude who took up the project after the first guy stopped, but I'll put a link to it in the description. Up ahead here, there are the actual gates of the front gate, only 2 of which could be used in-game. I believe the correct number of gates is 14, but I couldn't fit all of them, so we have to deal with only 7. In here, you'll see the garden's main hall, the single largest room in the garden. This is the directory, which is as useless now as it is after the first disc of the real game. The elevator is over there, but I'll get to that later. Instead, first, we will visit my least favorite room in the entire garden, the Infirmary. You might wonder why this is my least favorite, so let me explain. First off, to get the windows to actually show the outside of the garden, I needed to put the room off to the side. To fill some of the extra space, I made 2 more identical rooms. It is built diagonally, so unfortunately I was not able to place blocks such as beds. The beds I did make, since they too are diagonal, don't look too much like beds at all. This room is the one that I am least satisfied with, because in a room with so many necessary small details, building on a slant like this is probably not recommended. Next is the quad, a location that turned out much better. As you can see, I also made the outside area between the garden's main body and the outside rooms. There are trees and picnic tables. I'll show that a little bit later. Up here the path splits. To the left is the quad, while to the right is the ballroom. First we'll be going to the quad. The quad is made up of 3 levels. The top, where you enter. The middle, where there are a few benches. And the lowest level, where the stage is set up. This is also the part of the quad that is broken in the Battle of the Gardens, where Rinoa falls off. Next up is the room that took the longest to make, the ballroom. It is never explored in-game, so the path to the ballroom is never shown. All that is known is that it is supposed to be next to the quad, as seen in the ending video. This hallway, though long, was necessary to put the entrance on the correct side of the ballroom to allow me to build the other important parts. It was tough to recreate it using only what is seen during cutscenes, but I think it turned out alright. At the front of the room is this stage, which is never once used in-game. It's only shown in a couple of videos, including the ending video. Back by the entrance are the two stairways that lead up to the second level of the ballroom, where some of the ending video takes place. There are a bunch of tables and chairs up here, making it a little bit difficult to walk around in some cases, but there were quite a few tables in the ending video, so I wanted to make it as accurate as I could. Using that video as a reference, I created the table that Zell sat at and the balcony where Squall and Renault were hanging out. This next room is the cafeteria. Off to the sides here, we've got some pigs just standing on picnic tables. Happens occasionally. Out of every room in the garden, lighting was the most challenging in here. I'm not going to turn the light command off, but when it is off, this room is slightly darker than it should be. The main reason for this is that light will not reach from the high ceiling to the floor. To compensate, I added hanging lights and placed glowstone in the pillars and walls. Now we've reached the dormitories. This is where the garden students and members of SEED stay if they don't commute to the garden. I have 4 hallways. The first 2 are for student dorms, which are smaller rooms. Every pair of rooms has a small shared common area. These rooms are modeled after Squall's room before he becomes a member of SEED. Over here I added my own touch. What is the one thing you can't have dorms without? A bathroom. There's even a mirror, that doesn't work in any way. In the other 2 hallways, there are SEED dorms. These are bigger, and 2 rooms do not share the same common area. This is modeled after Squall's room after he becomes a SEED. For this next one, I turned the light command off. The parking lot, which I'll be showing next, is supposed to be dim, so it wouldn't look accurate with the lights on. This hallway is closed off, with only doorways to the outside area. The path splits, but both paths just lead to 2 sides of the same room. Not much of the parking lot is really seen, so one side is simply a mirror of the other. This tunnel leads all the way to the front gate, but I will not be showing that, because all it is a long, boring tunnel. This one is one of the rooms I am most proud of. This is the training center, where garden students are able to hone their skills against monsters held inside. To make sure no monsters escape, the hallway is closed off from the outside entirely. From here, we'll go to the right. This is the section of the training center where you can run into the mighty T-Rexor. Unfortunately, there are none of them here because my game mode is currently set to peaceful. And this is Minecraft. On this small dock, you can find Joker of the CC group. From him, you can buy items or win the Leviathan card. This is the back of the training center. Through that doorway is the secret area, but I will not be visiting that yet. Now for the left side. Over here, there are fallen trees. Due to the fact that they are on their sides, I made them out of brown wool rather than wood. I made this in Minecraft 1.2.5, so as of right now, there is no way to place logs sideways. Once Minecraft 1.3 is released, I will be changing these to sideways logs. Now that we've reached the back of the training center again, it's time to go to the secret area. This was another place that I had to add something of my own. The secret area is quite obviously above the training center, so this hallway doesn't lead directly to it. In between, I have built a tower that would be used by those monitoring the monsters inside. There are chests on the bottom floor, a computer screen, and some controls on the second, two tables and chairs on the third as a form of break room, and bookcases for monster research on the fourth. The fifth and final floor of the secret area is the top, where Quistis informs Squall that she will no longer be teaching him. I have my render distance set to normal, making it hard to see the garden. With the distance set to long, more is visible. For our last stop on the ground floor, we will visit the library. In here, there are many books that the students of Balamb Garden use to study. In many cases, however, it's easier to just use the study panel in the second floor classroom. Behind this desk is where the members of the library committee stand while they help students take out books. Due to the lack of draw points in Minecraft, I was not able to put one in this corner. At the back of the room, there are desks where students can study or read. Alone is found here before she is taken away on the White Seed ship. Since I haven't shown it yet, this is the outside area within the garden's walls. Animals, like these chocobos, will spawn here, making things a little bit more interesting. Speaking of interesting, look at that! 2 chocobos having a picnic. Since I've finished with the first floor, it's time for me to explain the elevators. There are 4 floors accessible from the ground floor, as I said earlier. Due to space constraints and my lack of incredibly complex redstone knowledge, I couldn't create a multiple floor elevator. Instead, there are 4 separate elevators, one on each side of this pillar. The one in front of me leads to the second floor. To go down, you will have to jump down into this water. However, we are going up. To do that, just press this button and stand on the floor. At the top, you will automatically be pushed out so you don't fall back down to the first floor. This is the path leading away from the elevator. There are 3 other paths like this one, each connecting to an elevator. This, however, is the only elevator that stops here. Not much of the second floor is seen in-game, so to fill out some of the space, I made a total of 8 classrooms, one on either side of each part of the second floor hallway. This one over here is Quistis' classroom. Squall's seat is back here. There's a window right above it, which overlooks the front gate. I added 2 doors here to act as the emergency exit. Although they don't lead anywhere, I wouldn't feel right leaving it out. Through this door is the balcony. This is the first place you go when the garden becomes mobile, and it acts as the entrance to Fisherman's Horizon. This elevator leads to the 3rd floor, Sid's room. It is on the side of the dormitories. It works the same way as the 2nd floor elevator, it is just longer. Up ahead, you can see the small entryway, and past that, the headmaster's office. Due to the fact that this is Minecraft and wool blocks are not thin, these hanging pieces of cloth don't look quite right, but for the sake of detail, they were added either way. At the front of the room is Sid's desk, with a blue banner on either side. As you can see, this is the top of the garden. The highest point, the floating ring, is right up above. Once again I have turned off light as we descend to floor B1, the chamber of Garden Master Norg. This room is mostly empty space, but over here you can see Norg's pod. It doesn't open, and there's no big Shumi tribe member sitting inside, but at least the pod is here. Finally, as the last stop, we will be visiting the MD level. The elevator stops down here, but no door opens. You can press this button if you want to go back up, or you can flip this switch over here to open this panel in the floor. Be careful not to fall off here. Don't worry though, the elevator won't come crashing down at you. Down here, you'll find yourself in this pipe, where you are given the option to look at the Elemental Magic Junction tutorial again. We have no encounters on, so we shouldn't have to worry. This pipe is usually supposed to be closed, but due to space limitations and again my limited redstone knowledge, I could not do something as complex as that. In this room, you can spin the wheel to open the floor. Thankfully, it's already open, because I can never manage to open it with just one person. Down this ladder is the largest room in the MD level. Usually the bottom half of this room is blocked out. Remember at the beginning of this how I mentioned funny lighting problems? Well, here they are. If you look around the room carefully, you can see areas lit up where there are no lights. My guess is that this is because the room is so big, it starts adding sunlight or moonlight as if it were outside. That would be great if it was consistent, but it isn't. That's why I had light on earlier. Up this ladder is where you go to open the lower half of the room, and although we don't need to, the room with the controls is still there. And don't worry, the ladder won't fall. Neither will the path. We're safe. From in here, we can see almost the entire room, but that's about all we can do, because there are no controls. Down this ladder is the lower half of the room. On the bridge up here, you would normally fight the oil boils. But unless they're adding a new mob that I don't know about, you shouldn't have to worry about that either. Down this ladder is the lowest point in the Balamb garden. Below this floor is the void. Up ahead is the core. These are the controls to start it up. You can flip the switches as much as you want, but it won't do a thing. This concludes the tour of the Balamb Garden in Minecraft. I hope you all enjoyed it. Check back soon for more Final Fantasy and Minecraft videos. Next, I will give a tour of my Ragnarok.